So I work for the UK Department for International Development, and like many international donors, this topic of urban nutrition is one that we are really still quite newly coming to. It's clearly a fundamental issue for us to think about as we look ahead at the nutrition challenges that we are facing. But certainly, historically, a lot of our focus has been in rural areas. Now, we committed through our position paper that was launched in 2017 to really take seriously the various issues that are going to be potential opportunities and challenges to our malnutrition challenge into the future, and that included the question of urban nutrition. So when it came to us starting to think about what needed to be done on this area and what role we could play, there were three key areas that came to our minds and that we're trying to look at further. The first is really thinking about how to foster multi-stakeholder action and multi-stakeholder consideration of this issue in urban contexts. It's clear from the speakers that we've heard from so far that we can't rely on any individual part of a government system to try and solve the various problems that we're dealing with in city populations. And we know this inherently from the work that we've been doing anyway on undernutrition through the Scaling Up Nutrition movement, for example, which has relied heavily on bringing together multi-stakeholder platforms and really thinking through the different roles that each of us can play. So that's the first area, how to bring together multi-stakeholder platforms. And we have been working in collaboration with the UK Food Foundation and with Tata Trusts to look at how we can understand how you bring multi-stakeholder platforms together in a city in India, in Pune, as an example of trying to really test out how that can work. The second area that we have really focused on is how to use existing platforms effectively. That's partly because there are actually quite a few of them. We have things like the C40 Cities Network on climate change, which includes networks on food systems. We have the 2016 Partnership for Healthy Cities. But also we have a number of existing programs that really look at the multiple dimensions of urban living. In contexts like Bangladesh, for example, where we have a number of urban programs in Dhaka, it's clear that there are lots of interlinkages when it comes to the challenges of living in cities, and looking at how to insert our nutrition issues into those is going to be really fundamental. Again, the work that we have been doing in collaboration with the UK Food Foundation has been looking at how to factor nutrition into the Smart Cities initiative, which is looking to use data and technology to good effect to think through how we plan the production, processing, distribution and consumption of foods in city contexts. And the third point that we really want to reflect on is the question of learning and then sharing what we're learning. In fact, the evidence base around what we do in urban contexts is still quite limited. There are some extremely positive examples from a number of contexts, but we're yet to really pull together a wealth of knowledge and evidence on how we address these very particular challenges that affect not just what people eat and how they eat, but the wider dimensions of how care practices shifts as urban living has an additional impact on how people care for themselves and their children. And the point around sharing is something that we really fundamentally focus on within the work we do on nutrition. I think that where we can see multiple cities, multiple communities dealing with these same challenges, it's really important that we do capture the learning and share that as effectively as possible. And one of the things that I'm particularly fond of with the initiative in Pune in India is that it's actually linking up to the city of Birmingham in the UK with the idea of how to do cross-exchange and learning between those two contexts.